Good morning and thank you very much for joining us. I am Iyori Folari. Thank God it's Friday. I guess it's become something of a cliche now. We always say that on a Friday, and there's always going to be a Friday. Anyhow, good morning. Now today we're going to talk, we usually sometimes talk politics, but we're not really concerned about politics too much today. Even though we're going to talk about food, and there's a sense in which we've heard from the food sector that there's a shortage of food, food is expensive, we don't have food and all of that. Yeah. But let's look at some of the science aspect of it. Everybody knows the economics that, you know, when there's a shortage of whatever it is that we want, then the price will go up. Is this happening to food, and how much of a shortage are we experiencing from wastages? In other words, there's this whole branch, post-harvest technology of agriculture, post-harvest technology, and that will encompass things like storage. It's not limited to it, but it's about things like storage. In short, just about the whole chain before it gets to the consumer. This includes packaging and all of that. Now, our guest this morning is a specialist. He's an old friend. We go way back. Dr. Olatunde Animashaun, a.k.a. Gaspar. Gaspar, it's good to have you.
Nice to meet you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And, well, Gaspar is an agriculturist and horticulture specialist. He is also a former Lagos State Commissioner for Agriculture, Cooperatives and Rural Development. This goes a bit back. This goes to the administration of Milad Buba Marwa just before it was handed over to the civilian administration of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Lagos. And as I said, Gaspar, you're an expert, you're an agriculturist, and you specialize in horticulture, but we want to look at the technology after harvest, especially as it relates to storage. Now, what kind of foods can be stored? Let's start from there. Is it everything that comes from the farm that can be stored? And I'm thinking in terms of growing now, coming out of the land. I'm leaving for the moment aquaculture and ranching. I'm leaving that aside for the moment. Are there foods that cannot be preserved, or has science reached the level where we can preserve a lot of food?
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Many food products can be stored, but each one has its own specific period of storage.
Okay, so there's a limit.
Yes, there's a limit. Mm-hmm. We call it the shelf life.
Okay.
That's the terminology.
Mm-hmm.
So we have some food, some products, some crops that can be, you cannot store them more than 5 days, 3 days before they go rotten.
Yes.
Especially in vegetables. Vegetables, they are perishable products, mm-hmm. easily perishable, like our lettuce, vegetable, cabbage, tomatoes, pepper, onion, all those ones. They have a period of shelf life. Mm-hmm. Let's say, for example, tomato. Tomato, you can, after harvest, you can store it for maximum of 10 days.
Okay.
After harvest.
After harvest. And are they harvested ripe, or are they harvested before?
Yes.
Just before?
Yes. That is where post-harvest technology comes in. In this part of the world, especially Africans, we eat ripened fruits on the vine. But when you harvest it on the vine like that, ripen, I take tomato as an example to red. We eat red tomato.
That's
here,
right.
You know, and fresh. And that's the reason why most of our crops, most of our fruit products, our vegetables go into processing, because as long as they have reached a physiological maturity, mm-hmm. Each crop, they are ready for harvest.
Okay.
For harvest, not for eating. They're ready for harvest. After that, it goes into the ripening process, which is in essence is going senescent. It's going back to where it comes from. Like Yoruba did, so pé ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ ń bàjẹ́ àló ń pọ́n.
Yeah.
Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
You see, every crop has a growth hormone for ripening, which is a gas. It's ethylene. It has an inherent ethylene itself. So by the time you harvest it, you've severed it from the main branch of the plant. Then ethylene comes in. It goes into ripening process.
Okay.
It is during that ripening process you store, and it stay there for tomato for 10 days. But you can extend the shelf life from 10 days to more than that.
Okay. Because I was going to say that, look, how about fruits and vegetables that are transported around the world?
Yes.
How about flowers coming in from Holland, for example?
Yes.
And I thought those sometimes, well, you would know, what is this space? You've spoken on that a bit.
Yes.
But can science bring us so that tomatoes, for instance, we can store it for 2 months?
Yes.
Or that's too much?
Yeah, that's too much.
Okay.
That's too much.
Okay.
We call it a value chain system. From the farm to the table.
Okay.
You give it aesthetic value. What do we do to extend the shelf life? Once the fruit gets to physiological maturity.
It doesn't mean it's ripe.
It doesn't mean that it's ripe.
Okay.
There's a
but
difference
physiologically, it is matured.
You know, yes. Before it goes to the next stage, to the next level.
And is that where degradation begins to set in?
Yes. Immediately you harvest the fruit from there. But in our own case here, in this part of the world, we don't harvest that. We allow it to go through that last stage.
On the vine?
On the vine. Taking our
that shortens the available life period it has.
Because it's going to the end of its life cycle.
That's when we do our...
So that's where we have the losses.
Considering experts like yourself that must be up and down the land, why do our farmers continue these processes that could give us a valuable, maybe a week extra in storage? Is it that farmers have not been shown these things for them to know?
Don't let us underrate them. I came across a technology, a simple technology. For example, my own PhD research, I worked on hot water treatment.
Hot water treatment? Okay.
Yes.
Of what?
Of tomato.
Okay.
To eradicate, to reduce the incidence of Alternaria alternata fungal, it is a fungal pathogen that affects tomato.
What did you say? Fungal?
It
was a disease.
The disease. Okay. Alternaria alternata.
Okay.
That's the scientific name. Yeah. It's a mild mold that you normally find on the
okay. So we see that and we know it is what you've just said. Alternata.
Alternata, that's the scientific name. So we normally put it in deep water and water at different temperatures. Okay. I use 30 degrees centigrade, 40 degrees, 50 degrees centigrade. At few minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and 10 minutes at different varying periods. And we got a result at 50 degrees centigrade for 2 minutes. It doesn't affect the palatability. We did all the
but what has that done? What you've just explained, does it extend the shelf
life?
Yes,
it does.
For putting it in water at, did you say 40 or 50 degrees?
50 degrees centigrade.
50 degrees for about 2 minutes?
2 minutes.
Oh, this actually...
It reduced the incidence of that mold, that fungus, attacking the food when it goes into the storage. So when
how widespread is knowledge like that then deployed? Because you said, let us not underrate or underestimate our farmers. They are not without knowledge.
Yes. Yes.
Do you think that some of these practices are actually being deployed in what we see in the market today?
Yes.
Because when I go to the market and you look at these vegetable sellers, the malams with pepper especially and tomatoes especially,
yes,
you see such a lot that has to, in baskets that are waste.
Yes.
Unfortunately, such is the poverty in the land that there are customers for that one we are calling waste.
Yes.
Once you grind everything together, unfortunately.
Yes. Yeah.
So do you think these practices are actually in place?
They are. Some of them, some of these local practices. That's the reason we use the advanced countries. They have really done a lot of research. They call it for small. My research was called control of post-harvest. Control of alternator on tomato.
Okay.
By smallhold farmers.
Okay.
Small-scale farmers.
Small-scale farmers. You know.
How much do you get water? Boil water, put a drum, put hot water there. In the village, it will be easy. Not a sophisticated technology.
This is for, on this particular, we're talking about tomato now, and this is in relation to tomatoes that have reached what you refer to as the physiological maturity.
Yes.
Which it doesn't mean that it's ripe yet.
No, it's not ripe
because
yet.
I was reading somewhere else on a different aspect that actually green tomatoes can be poisonous.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Yes,
you know.
yes. But if you don't use green tomato, there are three or four stages of tomato. You have the green stage, you have the yellow stage, you have the pink stage, and you have the red stage. And allow it to dry. Then just put it in the crates and put all these cartons, put them there, and you store it at below 13 degrees centigrade.
Below 30 degrees?
13.
13. Below 13 degrees?
In the store.
Okay.
You know.
Which isn't that going to be a problem for small-scale farmers?
You cannot, above, sorry, not below. Above 13 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
The temperature, the temperature is 13 degrees centigrade, but not below.
Okay.
Because you give it a cold shock.
Oh, okay. So this, you said that this is is actually being practiced.
Yes.
Although we still are seeing a lot of wastages in the market, country. And I can't imagine that the traders, or especially the traders, can't be happy. They would have paid for what we see as wasted tomatoes. They would have paid for it.
Yes, that's a new technology that is coming up now. Okay. But I come across some farmers. In a paper that in another one African countries, in Burundi, they use these ashes. The man used ashes.
Ashes?
Ashes.
Hot ashes?
No, cool ashes.
Cool ashes.
To preserve with some
cool ash? The same ash?
Ash. Eru.
I see.
The same ash the man was using in Burundi. I intend to go there and visit the place. He used it. He has used many methods to preserve his tomato.
So this is like homegrown technology. They have their traditions, generations of farmers.
Yes.
They've been coming along.
Yes.
Okay. Now Gaspar, tell me about vegetables. Of course, it looks like they are very vulnerable. You know, they're delicate, they're soft. We need them fresh and all of that.
Yeah.
But how about stock like yam, for instance?
Yeah.
Storing yam.
Yeah.
I know, again, there's a special knowledge. And Nigerians, I think yam, I remember from our Greek class back in the day. Ipomia something, Ipomia batata or whatever.
That's sweet potato.
Odukun.
Odukun.
I don't know why I remembered Ipomia batata.
Okay, that's yam. That's Ipomia batata. That's yam. You are correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's yam. Ipomia batata.
Now, yam is very, very important to our food, to our food chain, for our diet in Nigeria, all over the place.
Yeah.
Are there? What is being done in that area? Because I'm looking at preventing wastages, which must be on the mind of everybody who is a player, from the farmers to the consumers to government itself.
Yes.
You know, yam, for instance, do we have anything to speak about in terms of storage of yam and preventing losses?
The traditional way that people have been using
the yam barns.
In the yam barns in the East and Benue State in particular. It's just the yam barns where you have the poles and the
air circulates and all of that.
That is the most important thing.
Okay.
You must have air circulation in between the air barn, within the barn and all that, the perimeter of the barn, and it will just store for quite a long time.
It will store because people have determined
Yes.
that, look, this is how to preserve yam.
Yes. And some people have been using, they have started using an axial fan where to be drawing in air into the barn. So to have it, one will be drawing in here, one will be drawing air out.
So technology has been brought to bear on this age-old traditional method.
Yes. So it will not be too humid or too stuffy inside the barn, that you have air circulation moving in, moving out, and because yam itself is a seed. If you take one piece of eye on the yam, put it down, it will grow. It's a stem tuber. So you just have to have air circulation, Once you stop that, it becomes rotten.
Since we're talking about storage and we're looking to make an impact on a national scale, I imagine things like silos will begin to come into it. But I don't know if I'm correct. When we think of silos, we think of grains. Is that correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Grains is just about the only thing you can store?
You are correct.
And how well, do we have silos enough to store perhaps maize, perhaps, I don't know if rice is in there, perhaps beans, beans, which also has its sniper issue nowadays. We might get to talk about that. But what's your impression about the state of our silos? First of all, are they still up and running, or have they broken down?
To the best of my knowledge, I don't think you have many silos that go around now. It has been with this government, federal government agency, FIRO, FIRO is in
Federal Institute for Industrial Research.
Organization at Oshodi. We have an office at Oshodi. We have office at Oshodi. Then we have them, the headquarters at Ilorin or somewhere about, We are not having silos all over the place now, but having said that, we used to have in some areas at different locations. We used to have one at Lagos State Polytechnic, at
What was stored there?
Yeah, it was stored for maize.
Okay, maize.
Maize, used for maize. After the shelling it and stored in that silo. So we are given by Feed the Nation by the government.
Yeah.
They started them at strategic locations where you have agriculture being practiced. But nowadays, I think, maybe in the north, where they grow rice, mainly for rice now, and beans too, where they have agronomic crops being grown.
Talking about, I mentioned, and you just spoke about beans. It's all over social media. This chemical brand, Sniper. It has a scientific name that I'm not going to bother to go into. But the brand Sniper, and there's been much talk about it being poisonous, the way it is being used. But then we're also getting experts telling us that, perhaps they're not using it properly, but there's a sort of a workaround. It's not as bad. I don't know. I'm going to be careful about the information we put out because, first of all, give me your whole commentary on this whole matter of Sniper as an expert in terms of preserving food. Sniper being the brand name of a chemical that is sprayed. I think, is it powder or liquid?
I think it's a liquid.
And we see videos on the social media of Sniper being sprayed on beans, on the floor, and people just mixing it up. Is that the proper use? Because we were speaking before coming on air, and you said that actually these practices are age-old.
Yes.
But why has Sniper become an issue such that the Minister of Agriculture is now saying that farmers need to be educated, and he was begging. He was begging farmers because apparently government can't be everywhere that there are farms. Tell me about this Sniper and what is the good, the correct, and the wrong use of it, and the effect for home, for consumption.
It has all, as you have rightly said, it has been an age-long...
sorry, Gaspar, just before I go, since somebody has called in. Mr. George, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guest.
Dr. Olaniwaju. I beg your pardon, Dr. Animashao.
All right, thank you.
This was going to happen.
I know.
Uncle Yori, what we have in Nigeria, I don't know whether we can call it food shortage. It appears it is food loss, not shortage.
Losses, yes. Okay.
Yes. Because it appears the food is there, but the storage facility is not there.
Okay.
Even our big-time farmers, they don't seem to be interested in storage technology. It's only Dangote that recently came into tomato farming that decided to go into the system of how to preserve it.
Okay.
The big-time farmers we have in Nigeria, they don't seem to be interested. Even the the Minister of Agriculture, is more interested in exporting our yam when we don't have enough yam to eat in Nigeria. The last time it was tried, because there was no storage technology involved, they tried to export yam, heat the yam inside the ship before it got to London and Europe.
So rotten yam arrived destination?
Yes, because in Europe, most of the groceries, most of those things you see in grocery stores had been stored for 3 months upwards. And it is because of these storage facilities that they have. Why can't people like the gentleman in front of you and those who are in this industry explore the possibility of borrowing a little from these people to find out how they store their food, employ the technology, and try to bring it here.
Okay.
We can do better than this. He said in his PhD thesis that he went into local farming system and he discovered what the local farmers were doing.
As it relates to tomatoes?
Yes. That is something that he should even improve upon with his own knowledge. How is it that the farmer that does not know anything, we say they do not know anything, but they are the ones who are able to discover how to at least store their food for 1 month or for 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay.
Those in this industry should take better interest in it, especially the minister who is in charge of agriculture in our country.
Yes.
We should not just be after money. Let us be after how we can see what to eat. Then it's the farmers in the north. You know, most of our food comes from the north, Uncle Yori. We don't have a good rail system.
That's right.
Before the food they produce gets to consumer cities like Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja, the food will have spent 2 weeks on the way. So we end up eating food that has already been divested of some level of energy.
Yes.
So storage is important, and I think our specialists in that area should deploy more efforts to see how we can use technology for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Development of what we're calling generically post-harvest technology.
Yes.
Would you agree?
Very important.
It is very important.
Very important.
I don't know what your impression is on the extent to which we have embraced it. Our caller there, Mr. George, just spoke about Dangote, for example, having come into tomatoes in recent times. You know, paying attention to storage. Apart from Dangote, is that what we are facing now, that nobody seems to care about this crucial aspect in modern day farming? After all, the government talked about change. This government, this administration and the party, is about change. I don't know, has there been any change? And you would be best suited to see, has there been any change in agriculture? Because there can be change all over the place. But as it relates to agriculture and reducing wastages, because as Mr. George said, maybe we don't have food shortage. What we have is food spoiling and therefore becoming not available and therefore driving up the price of what is left.
Let me just start from this angle of these beans.
Yes.
The problem of beans is that of food shortage. The farmers...
Not food loss. Shortage,
loss.
loss.
Food shortage leading to losses.
Okay.
And you get
well, food loss leading to shortage.
Shortage, yeah, food loss. Because of the shortage, the farmers are eager to meet the demand of the market.
Naturally.
This is economics. We all know that there's no food around, and he knows quite all right that he has to stay after fumigation of his crops, of his beans. He has to wait till about 21 days for the chemical to dissipate before you sell to the market. But there's no food in the market. So it's all right.
And it's in the market before the chemical has dissipated. And that's one of the problems we have.
That's one of the problems.
The ordinary consumer is probably not aware of these dangers. Yakub in Dokwemu, good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Shishori.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning to Dr. and the student.
Yes.
I just want to know about something because when the doctor was telling us something earlier about tomatoes, that you can access tomatoes between the yellow and red.
He gave us the 4 stages of tomato. Yes.
Yeah. I want to know, is it the same thing applies to mango and corn? Because I got to realize that the type of mango that we eat here in Lagos, when I travel back to my village, if I take up the mango out of the tree, the ripe one out of the tree, I got to know that the taste is quite different from the one that we live here in Lagos. Same thing applies to corn that we normally call it in our language agado. Because the corn in my village, when I got to village, in fact, when you are born the corn, the scent that coming out of the corn, you will likely that you will make sure that you get with it and then drink water and then you are okay for that day. But the same thing not apply the one that you take here in Lagos.
Okay.
I want to know, are you telling us that is it good to expect or to take up the mango out of the tree unripe before getting to Lagos, or we take it ripe one? Because the ripe one that you take off the tree, the taste is quite different from the one that you take off the tree unripe.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. And not being an agriculturist myself, I wanted to add to your question by saying, look, Gaspar, the fact that there are so many species of mango, will that also affect the taste so that people, will that affect the taste? There will be taste differences from, some of them are small, some are seen to be agricultural mango as big as a head, that kind of a thing. That's the question.
No, it doesn't affect it at all. Okay. Because what I've said is that there's a difference between physiological maturity and ripening. It's okay in our own culture.
Carry on with that.
In our own culture here, we eat fruits and vegetables ripened. But in developed agriculture, I'll give an example. We have a variety of pineapple in this country, MD2.
Okay.
It's been grown in Ghana too.
Are those tiny ones, these smaller ones?
Yes, smaller ones. Very smaller. They have about not about 5 or 4 inches radius, and it sits in a box, of a carton box. In UK, they import this pineapple every day by air to the UK. When it gets to they give them specification of what they want, the size and everything. It will get to UK before it starts ripening. They harvest it, immediately it is physiologically matured and containerize it to UK every day.
Okay.
And it stays in the warehouse, and in the warehouse for 2 weeks, putting it the growth hormones ethylene. Every plant has that because it's the hormone necessary for ripening.
So that is now applied. Let me quickly go on a break. I'll come back and then we'll continue with this. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Still having the studio Dr. Olatunde Animashaun, a.k.a. Gasper, as you might have heard me say now and again. He's an agriculturist and horticulture specialist, and we're looking at post-harvest technology and where it's at now and what it is costing us in terms of losses from fruits due to spoilage. You were saying, Gasper, that government is not looking into this as much as you would have liked, right?
Yes.
Why? What do you think is going on here?
I give an example. During 2009, before I went for my PhD, while I was in the UK, at Essex, we have, there's a World Bank project for, they call it Global, Global Agric Initiative for Agricultural Development, sponsored by World Bank. For each country, participating country, they give them $200 million every year. It started in 2008. We got the first tranche in 2008. There are counterpart funding too from the federal government. We have there's an association in this country called the Commercial Farmers. They are established in all the 36 states of the federation. They came to my university in the UK to visit in 2009. They saw what we are doing there. In my university, we are research unit, research centers for many of these supermarkets in UK. Tesco, Sainsbury, Waitrose, Asda, just mention it. When these produce are coming into the UK, they send samples to my university. We carry out the experiment, the taste, the color, the texture, and everything on it, and grade them for them. Packaging too, give it the aesthetic value needed. And that is what you see, we grade them for them. That is what you see in the market. Increase the shelf life. They came back. Up to now, we have written proposal for the federal government. The first tranche, the second tranche finished 2013. I gathered that the third one is going to start any moment from now. I don't know what the government is doing. It's this day in, day out, maybe, to improve agriculture department. I know of that of my area, post-harvest technology. The farmers, visited the institute and they saw what we are really doing, and they are very impressed. We gave the costing proposal and everything, but up to now, it's still on the table of for now in the Ministry of Agriculture. This happened during Dr. Additional's era, in the ministry. And it's a good thing that we should look into that area. They want to look into that aspect, especially post-harvest technology of fruits and vegetables, to reduce losses.
Because reducing wastage is a very, very important aspect of the whole that must be addressed in the whole food supply chain.
Yes.
Look at the example, for instance, of Holland. Of course, flowers. I think it's the flower capital of the world.
Yes.
And daily into the West, it's like the whole world depends on Holland if you can afford their flowers anyhow. As it is, we don't worry about flowers here because we have not sorted the So we don't worry too much about farmers. But where flowers are important, flowers are coming, and you were explaining that there's a simple, very, very simple idea that the flowers, leave Holland before they have bloomed.
Yes.
And it is calculated in that
by the time it will bloom, a study has been done. By the time the flower will bloom,
it will be in its destination.
Moving from Kenya to Holland, they will have calculated it that it will stay another 1 month or 3 days in the storage, before it blooms. And you just said that it's as if it's just blooming today.
Exactly. Mazi in Arochukwu, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, Dr. Olatunde, sir. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning.
I wish to congratulate Dr. Olatunde, our guest this morning, for the analysis Doctor, you see, our major problem today in Nigeria is storage facilities. When we talk about storage facilities, we are talking about the natural storage facilities.
Yeah.
Now, Doctor, if you look at this issue of banana, if you go to the market now, people are saying that they are using carbide to force bananas to ripe, which everybody knows it is very, very dangerous. Now, as an authority, how do we identify a particular banana that we used carbide to force it to ripe? Now, like vegetable in Nigeria today, like so local the southeast and south side, they have surplus of ogo, water leaf, name them. And I thank God now that people have started farming this product from January to December. There's no time you come to down east, you will not see it. Now, we talk about tomatoes. Now, you see, tomatoes now, guys, another way people are doing it, because the time you come now, tomatoes, the price, maybe this small paint would be 600, 500. And the time you come, the same small paint that is 600, when it's time for scarcity, it's around 2,000. Some people say you can boil it. After boiling, you drain it, put it inside a cup with all those processes. Well, I know it's good. But our major problem that is creating a lot of problems, we know that beans, if you eat beans, not very prepared alone, you know how dangerous. But this issue of the people says they are using sniper. How can one identify the one use sniper? I'm asking this question because at least 50 or 60% of Nigerians eat beans.
Yes.
Now, I still advise people, to me, my own little knowledge, which my mother and my father taught me, that when you go to boil beans, you just boil the beans, allow it to maybe halfway or something before you drain away the water, rewash it and start boiling it again. But you still have something like other vegetables to make it. Although Nigerians, we farm all products, but the only thing that we should advise our country is that from January to December, all products should be farmable everywhere. And this will keep us, all this issue of carbide and this will not come to exist. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
Thank you very much, Mazi Okoroafo. Let's start, Gaspar, if we will, with the forced ripening of bananas by carbide. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah.
First of all, it's true. People are doing it.
People are doing it, but it is dangerous. But you don't say that because of the Yoruba, they says,
there you go. Beheading is not the cure for headache.
Because there's such a of banana. You start using an orthodox method to say it is not good.
Even formalin is said to be used to preserve poultry
which is
frozen
wrong.
Food.
Yes, which is wrong.
Okay. But these things happen.
Yes, they do happen.
And we don't have
the
kind of policing necessary.
To know how to sort of the arrest or take precautionary measures, you know, for those who are really doing this thing and educate them that this thing is dangerous. It can be carcinogenic.
I had a question to ask you, but Comrade Ayo in Osun State has come on the line. Good morning, Comrade Ayo.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to the doctor. And the
Dr. Animashaun.
Dr. Animashaun, good morning to you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Uncle Yori, you see, it is high time we do less of the talking and put action into our words. See, we know our problem as far as food is concerned is that storage. We lack storage initiatives in this country. And it is high time we put more action into that instead of doing all the talking. I've listened several times to the Minister of Agriculture. He has a brilliant idea, but when it comes to implementation stage, I don't think they have the capacity to do it. Uncle Yori, it will interest you to know that in the days of our fathers, some people eat their yam from one season to the other season.
Yes, yes.
From one planting season to another plant, they eat yam throughout.
You are correct.
How do they do that? It's not through storage. So it is high time our agriculturists come together and come out with research that will save us from all this problem of storage that we are encountering. See,
there is no shortage of research. Sorry, Comrade, there is no shortage of research. As you yourself identified, and as Dr. Animashaun has said, I think it's the implementation.
Yes, Uncle Yori, you know why I said we have a problem of research there? Because we believe that do most of our things for us. See, if our agriculturists can come out with a plan, not necessarily begging the government to come and assist. If they can come out with something concrete and move out to the...
Okay, we get the idea, generally speaking. It's interesting. It's an interesting idea he's pushing that, look, government probably can do a bit more. You spoke, Dr. Masha, about Dangote coming into, and you know Dangote doesn't do small things.
Yes.
So
yes.
by the time the man comes into tomatoes,
yeah.
it's going to be plantations upon
yeah.
plantations.
Yeah.
And so it is in his interest to really be serious about post-harvest technology.
Yeah.
But you explained one of the methods of smallholder farmers.
Farmers,
you know. Yeah. But is there, what can we do? Because the question that is being brought up there, we understand it, that we're losing too much, and it's because he thinks that people are nonchalant. When I say people, the authorities, people are in charge of those things, are nonchalant about all of these. First of all, is that true, or is it just that we are overwhelmed by the bulk of our problems?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. The problem with this country is that it is who and who you know that matters. Are you getting my point? Let me take the issue of Dangote.
For example?
For example, I learned that the tomato factory is just desolate now because no products. There's what is called Ebola, Tutula Ebola, that happened in the north in Kano.
Okay.
I wrote some papers. Many newspapers published it. I still have copies. That it's a simple thing. When you don't have raw materials for our industry, you go comatose. What our farmers, the so-called farmers in quote, these are big-time farmers. They just believe that once you put this one down,
they just fund the whole operation, but they're not really farmers.
They are not really farmers.
I see.
And they get money from banks, from government, and say, okay, we are farming this. They got, can you imagine, from a story I had, you know Shade Disu now?
Yes.
She's farming, a medical doctor. Go to that axis at Lekki. We have engineers, I've visited them. You have engineers, doctors, everybody. They are in tomato production. Said, they have been calling me, I've been giving them lectures. They are now there.
So it's a very profitable venture in spite of the losses.
Yes.
So you can then imagine if we really got our what they call together.
The acts together.
Exactly.
And just get them, tell them what to do. The market at Lekki exists there for tomato is insatiable.
But I thought that was what agricultural extension workers of yore were supposed to be for.
Yes.
All of these systems, aren't they still in place?
When they need a tractor, shall they call me? Say,
that is this particular medical doctor who has turned into a tomato farmer.
She called me and said, Gaffer, let me talk to people in the ministry. I tell you, I just called the permanent secretary, blah, 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 to talk to this woman, blah. And they responded and they sent the tractor to her. And she really begged me.
So it goes back to what you just said. Now I understand the import of what you just said.
Yes.
It depends on who you know.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Well, that's something that the government probably needs to be hearing about, that there are farmers like this and there are farmers that maybe don't know, are not politically connected.
She was just saying that you people, it is only their gas, they will respond to that. They have been asking for this tractor for many, you know,
so that's a problem, because government also has to come into, well, I hope somebody from OSOGBO's office, if not himself, is listening to this, because he might, of course they're going to be aware of all of these issues, but at least for them to know. But we're speaking about reducing losses, and therefore, just by that, increasing available food in the market and on the table, and that hopefully that would bring down, you know, the cost of it.
Let me even come in. This composition of the Agri Council, who's I think the president is the chairman of the council. You don't have anybody specialist in post-harvest technology. None.
There's another caller on the line, but I think this thing has gone dead. So, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Okay, BIOLA. Good morning, BIOLA.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you so much. I think these are kind of topics to be discussed more frequently. You cannot overemphasize food loss. I tell you what, the government still needs to come in.
Of course.
As regards electricity, we've been talking about processing of food raw materials, but really without electricity, there's nothing farmers can do. And then the government should stop advocating for, small farmers in clusters. This thing won't work because you see them planting in the agrarian way. They really have not gone back to school or been educated well in modern technologies in farming. That is production aspect. Now in production, you need the agribusinessmen to handle agriculture in Nigeria. You need them to come in with new technologies and new innovations so that food can be in surplus in the nation. I tell you what, take for instance, what's it called, cattle.
Yes.
We still graze cattle all around, and here we are, the government is saying that they don't see anything wrong with cattle all around. These are public nuisance, and it's posing a great public health hazard. We still go to the market to buy meat, and then, flies perching all around it. These things are not good enough for Nigeria. The federal government means well in agriculture. There should be a white paper in synergy with all ministries, departments, and agencies.
Indeed.
So that they can work in tandem. You cannot talk about petroleum without talking about agriculture. You cannot talk about transportation without agriculture. And these are places where waste occur.
And electricity plays a part in it.
Yes. So it cannot be overemphasized. Let agribusiness people come in and invest in agriculture, and let's not waste our funds in, doling out 10,000 naira to peasant farmers.
Thank you very much for calling in, BIOLA, on that, government policy, and it's good to have his comment. Yeah. But Mazi Okorafor spoke about carbide on bananas. Yes. And even the sound of carbide doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound something that you need to have in a sort of food milieu.
Yes.
And then I've heard that formalin, which for preservation of
chicken.
Of chicken.
Yes.
Now all of these unwholesome practices, it's Nigerian farmers or harvesters. Maybe I should just call them harvesters, since we want us to be careful about the term farmers now. Not everybody is a farmer. Yeah. They're just coming up with their own devices through their own research, whether ethical or not. Yeah. Because any researcher can research methods of doing a particular thing, but it remains a standard organization to say if that method is allowed or if it is actually beneficial. Now, we probably are losing out there. Tell me about carbide, for instance, for example, as Mazi Okorafor pointed out, on our bananas, plantains especially, which is very, very expensive. Right? That is, plantains are virtually absent depending on what part of the country you're in right now. Yeah. And carbide to preserve them. Is it to preserve them or to force ripen them?
To force ripen them. Okay. It is totally out of place.
Which means that these bananas are not harvested at what you refer to as the...
my physiological maturity.
Yes.
Which is very, very important.
So
all the
even the texture of the bananas is one kind.
It will become one kind. It will be very harsh when you are eating it. It's not really good. It can cause cancer. It's carcinogenic. It can be carcinogenic. But another method is that just take a simple experiment in your home. Buy a green plantain. Are you getting my fresh one? Green plantain. Put it in any cupboard.
Which is what we used to do when we were kids.
Of course.
Put sacks on top of it.
Just put sacks of it. Just put it in the, just put it in your cupboard. The third day you see the thing is ripened.
But I don't know why people seem to think that is taking too long.
No.
But more importantly, the standards regulators are allowing it to happen.
Yes.
But I understand there's someone else on the line. Good morning, and thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I can see that is Shegun. Good morning, Shegun.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Fine, thank you.
Mr. Yori.
Good morning, sir. Please go ahead.
Morning.
Yeah.
I appreciate this program this morning. And I want to appreciate your guest.
Dr. Animashaw.
But I just want to ask one particular question. I am an Ekiti person. And in those days, my grandma used to give me some food, which I cannot find in the market right now. I will mention their names.
Okay.
We have, I'm sure your guest must be from either Osun State.
The man is from Lagos State. The man is a Lagosian with a name like Animashaw.
Maybe he has not heard the word Bakala before.
Bakala?
Yes.
Okay.
We have Feregede.
Feregede?
Yes. We have Otili. Feregede is like beans.
Oh, okay.
We have Otili.
I think that's
Otili
4.
Is bigger.
Otili is what?
Otili is bigger than like big beans.
Oh, it's a kind of beans, but okay, these are different species of beans.
It's a kind of beans. And I doubt if we have all those ones in the market again. Our farmers, they are no longer growing them.
Segun, these foods you're just telling us about, are they all varieties of beans?
Yes, they look like beans. Yes.
Okay, because we have different beans. Kidney beans. I don't know what a wabeji is properly called. Those ones that take forever to get done.
The black beans.
Like that feregede is like beans.
Okay.
You know, but unfortunately we couldn't find them in the market again.
Even when you go to Ido?
Our farmers are no longer growing them.
I see. Okay.
So I don't know, maybe Dr. Animashaw has heard all what I've mentioned.
Yes. Okay.
I will see it privately to give him the species of all this.
Okay.
Thank you very much. But you know, I remember back in the day, not been there in a long time.
Yeah.
You go to Ido,
yeah.
there are just about all kinds of beans will be there.
Yes,
you see beans you didn't even know existed.
Yes,
Kidney beans, which I've been reading on, thanks to social media, says it even has a poisonous aspect. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Then there's, I don't know what the proper name for a wabeji is. Those tiny ones, you know what I'm...
black beans.
Is that what it's called? Black beans. Then there's the one that is victim of sniper right now.
Yes.
And then he's mentioning some almost exotic varieties of cowpeas. But he wanted you to comment on, is it true that these things, for instance, farmers are not growing them anymore? Because farmers will always go where the money is, where there are buyers.
Yes. Some of them have been going obsolete. That, you know,
it's not worth their while to produce anymore.
When we don't have the resources and we don't have the seeds.
Okay.
You know, that is the most important thing that is lacking in our agriculture in this country.
We don't have the seed bank.
We don't have seed industry.
Oh, yeah, an industry.
I've just discovered that the president has just established a rice seed factory in Calabar just of recent. You know, we know our agriculture in this country. When you harvest this year, you remain some to plant it. It's not done. It's never done.
Okay.
After some time, you have diminishing returns, where that the quality will be diminishing. You repeat the same thing, the same year in year out. But whereas in a developed world, in developed agriculture, you produce seed every day. There are seed companies that their own job is to produce seeds every year.
It's not for consumption.
It's not for consumption. That's what it is. That is what is affecting our rice production in the north now, because once they say too much, I don't allow import. Okay, after the glut, once it is when they have the glut, the rice producer, then they write to the government. Okay, they block rice. But after that club, when they are finished, there's no one to sell again. Definitely people will cry out, no rice. So, and you have smuggling coming in. So we must have a program where you plan for seed production, seed company in every crop.
So it must be a sort of an integrated approach. Even this whole matter of post-harvest technology that we're talking about includes this, because it's a very wide field.
It is a wide field. It is.
Well, Dr. Animashaw, we've quite frankly used up our time, but at least we've got an insight into what needs to be done, and hopefully have highlighted the importance we all know the importance of agriculture, but then the aspect of agriculture that is post-harvest technology, we can't just be doing things in the ancient sort of a way, because we have a bigger population, we have more mouths to feed, and so we need every scrap that we can get, and we can't afford for any to go to waste. But right now, it would appear, it seems almost like people are just doing what's been done for ages, and that is not necessarily the best. It can't sustain us. Well, Dr. Olatunde Animashaun, a.k.a. Gaspar, people would have been wondering, so which is this Gaspar this man is putting in now and again? I'm so sorry about that. But Dr. Olatunde Animashaun, agriculturist and horticulture specialist, former Lagos State Commissioner for Agriculture and Cooperative and Rural Development, back in '97, that was Buba Marua's administration, and thank you very much for coming on and giving us your perspective on all of these matters.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. So that's our program today, and please join us on Monday, because we don't do weekends, unfortunately. I'll see you then, God willing. By the way, let me just say, I'm going to be away on vacation, but nothing will stop. The program for the next 2 or 3 weeks will be handled, you know, as it always is handled. Just to say, so I'll see you next year. I think I should be able to say that. I'll see you next year, God willing. Bye-bye for now.